So here is my email. It's leo@ocrealtors.org, and that's my phone number. The 714 number is for the Fountain Valley location where I'm normally at. It's 714-375-9313, and my extension number is 239. I'm really good at responding to voicemails and emails, so if I'm not available for any reason, perhaps I'm helping someone else at the moment. So go ahead and leave me a message or leave me an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. So today's agenda in this class is going to be 2 hours long, plus or minus 15 minutes, but I'll try to get you out of here within two hours. And today's agenda is going to be logging into zipForms Plus and creating transactions, submit for signatures, create and use templates, and use additional tools. I'm just going to give you kind of an overview of how we use the software for zipForms, so that way you have a better idea on how to be able to take care of your clients. For starters, let's see how many people have not logged into their CAR account. If you go and just notate that in chat, please, and let Anthony know, so that way I get an idea of how many people have not signed into CAR, which is fine. It's quite all right. You can still learn all this information today and later on, because this is being recorded for you to review at a later time.
And by any chance, do we have anybody who has not accessed zipForms at all? Like you're totally brand new. Let's see here. We've got John Linford, who hasn't signed up for zipForms yet. We have Karen Forbes, who says that, yes, she has signed in. Okay,
Right.
Awesome. So we've got a mixture of newbies, and Sean says that he's brand new. So Leo, take it away. Start us how to register to access zipForms.
Okay, so the first step to access your zipForms, you want to go to the CAR website, car.org. There are links that we have on our website. There are links that are available through CRMLS, but for simplicity's sake, let's just go through the source of where you would get your zipForms, because it is a California Association Realtor benefit, your zipForm. So go to car.org.
And Leo, real quickly, what is zipForms?
zipForms is the online contracts disclosure software that we use throughout the state of California. And actually, it's used nationwide, but within the state of California, it will pick up the documents that are within the documents created by the California Association of Realtors Legal Department. So this is what our primary source to be able to do transactions, etc., disclosures, etc., that you'll find to be able to take care of your client. Now, the purpose of this class won't be to how to fill out a particular contract or form. Anthony and myself, we don't have the legal expertise to give you that information, as well as no one at the office, the board. You would want to contact the California Association of Realtors Legal Hotline. They can advise you on any legal questions that you may have regarding the forms, including, is this the right form I need in a given situation, or please give me a different understanding of what this form says. So with that being said, we're just teaching you how to use the software to be able to do the online contracts disclosures. And there's well over 400, I believe, right, Anthony, of contracts and disclosures. Oh, you're mute. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Yes, there are more than 494 forms, or 395 plus forms. And as we all are probably, or as you may or may not know, CAR next week is releasing at least another 3 or 4 more forms on top of that list, along with some updates. So definitely you have access to almost every form out there imaginable that you might need to buy, sell, lease properties in the state of California for commercial and residential. Now, real quickly, Leo, John asked, how does SkySlope work with zipForms? Well, SkySlope is a back office system that has a link into your zipForms account that your office would set up for you to be able to push over the signed or PDF documents into this document program. So SkySlope is a back office operating system that the brokers use in order to monitor their agents' transactions for their office for audits. And what's nice is that zipForms and SkySlope can talk to each other, where you can now, after their file is done, push those documents over into your SkySlope system for your broker. So that's kind of the nice thing about it. Now, I do believe that I think it's SkySlope, or is it .loop? It might be .loop that actually has access to the CAR forms to allow agents who are using .loop to make their transactions very similar to zipForms, but that is a paid service from .loop, whereas zipForms is free for all CAR members. I hope that helps.
Great. Wow. So SkySlope. So going back to, for those who are wanting to learn how to sign in to the California Association of Realtors, the first thing you'll see after you clicking register, or actually clicking sign in on the top right of the website, will be, it's going to be asking for your username and password. Now, for the California Association of Realtors, you can choose whatever username and choose whatever password. Unfortunately, at our association, we're not going to have access to your username nor your password. If you ever have issues, you want to click the link where it says forgot username or password after you created the account. It will go through a series of steps to verify your membership, and then it will provide you with your username, and then you create a new password. But and that's for those who already have signed in. But for those who are doing this for the first time, you want to go ahead and click register, because you have to create a username and password for the California Association of Realtors. So the first question that's going to be asked of you is, please provide your NRDS number, which stands for your National Realtor Database System number. At work, we call it your NERDS ID. It's just easier to say your NERDS ID rather than National Realtor Database System ID number. It's a 9-digit number, and it differs than your 8-digit the state of California DRE license number. So if you don't know what your 9-digit NERDS number is, then you can contact our association. We can be able to assist you with it at the conclusion of this webinar. Also, and then if you have received in the mail your membership card from NAR, the National Association of Realtors, it will also provide you with that same 9-digit number. So the first question will be, and there's 4 steps on this. You put in your NERDS number, your last name, and then click submit. So that way you go to step number 2. And step number 2 is it needs to verify your information. So it's going to verify that it's going to send you an email to the email address that you have on file with our association. So this is very important, that anytime you update your email address with your company, if you change companies or you're no longer satisfied with a particular email address, you want to notify us as well. So that way we could be able to update the information for the California Association of Realtors in case you have any problems in the future. After verifying your email, because it's going to send you a code, you're going to click the button here that says send code, and then you would wait for that code. You'll input that code that you received in the email and then click continue. Now, this is where you would start the process of creating a username and password. So it's going to be a mixture of letters and numbers, or it could be just, I think the username could just be letters if you wanted to. Just follow the instructions there. And once you're done, then you click continue. It's a very, as you know, if you created a number of different usernames and passwords from other entities, websites, etc., then you'll be familiar with this kind of process. Create a username, create a password. Just make sure it's a little bit more challenging than password 1 or password 1, 2, 3, 4, because you don't want it to be able to be easily hacked by someone with mentality above a 4th grader. Yeah, make it more challenging, and if you have to, record the information somewhere off your computer, because if somebody hacks your computer, they can have access to your passwords as well. So click continue. Oh, going back to the passwords, there's password managers that can be able to assist you with that. So you can look into that, but that's not going to be discussed any further in this class. That's something you may want to research on your own. So now you have created a username, you have created a password. Now go ahead and log in with that username and password and click sign in. Now, once you do that, you're going to be receiving, you're going to see something that says, we call it the golden ticket, continue to zipForms. And after you do that, you've logged in. So as you see, it's a very straightforward process. Just go ahead and follow the steps all the way through. Now, the next step that we're going to be doing is creating a transaction. So I'm going to exit this. I'm going to go live. I'm going to go just do a real life transaction. The transaction I'm going to create is going to be based on a live listing. It's not one that I endorse. It's just one that happens to be an MLS. So I wanted to let you know that in no way am I promoting this one particular listing. It's just an example that I'm going to be using. So let's create a transaction. So I'm at the California Association of Realtors, and once again, I click buttons without even telling you. So I apologize. So we're going to click this button right over here. By the way, if you want to be the individual that sits here, you can be able to click this. It says check out what's new. Actually, correction, you want to click the name of the person, and then you can submit an application online to be this person that's identified as being the California Association Realtor member. And this will be available for everyone, any realtor that's with the state of California. Now, you could just easily see that there's different individuals that have done this, and you too can be that individual. So something you want to consider on your own. It's free marketing, so you might as well. So once again, zipForms will be found here under the Realtor Secured Transactions. I know it's repetitive. In case you want to also know, the legal hotline information will be here in case any legal questions. But I'm going to click this. So after this, you'll see a number of different choices. You'll get some tips and other tools here. But let's focus on the Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf is now the company that is the parent company for zipForms, ZipLogix as well. So we would click Access zipForms, and then we go to the field where I'm going to log in with my username and password. And after I do so, wait for it to do its magic. So I can be able to click the golden ticket right here, continue to transactions. And here we are. So for the great majority of everyone, the default screen is going to be the transaction screen. For some, it'll be the dashboard. You have the ability to change it if you wanted to. The dashboard will give you information as to your performance as a realtor, to see what transactions are going on, what areas, what signings you have in progress, etc. There's a lot of information that you could be using it to monitor your own performance, but we're going to skip that. We're going to be looking at the transactions right now, because our first goal is to create a transaction. So before we do that, we want to make sure all the information is correct on our side. So we slide all the way to the right corner and click Me. Before I can click that, I'm going to ask, are there any questions that anyone has before I go any further?
So far, nothing, Leo.
I know it takes a little time to type up something, but no questions. That's okay. So I'm going to click Me. Me will give me some choices. It'll give me the sign out, which would end our session, which would be kind of boring, or profile and settings. So let's go and click this. And once again, you want to verify that information is correct. So the first thing I want to do is make sure my information is correct. Okay, my name is correct. My email address is correct. My contact information is correct. My DRE license number is correct. I put in 007, so that way you know that I filled out something there. And my email signature. Typically, we skip this, but this is also very important to have, because when we correspond between ourselves and our clients or other agents, we want to make sure this looks polished and professional. because we are representing not only ourselves, but also our brokerage. So you would choose something to the effect of sincerely yours, or whatever you want to choose. That's appropriate. Of course, your name, the organization that you're with, location. You're going to also put in your DRE license number as well. So once you have inputted all that information, you would click save. But in my case, I didn't change anything, so I'm just going to click and move on. What I do want to show you is offices. Now, from time to time, agents will move from one office to another because the needs change. So we want to make sure that this information is correct. Now, when you have notified the Department of Real Estate that you moved to a different brokerage, you also want to contact our association to upload that information into CAR and NAR. After we've done that, then you have to manually go into here to change that information. Unfortunately, this one does not happen automatically. So you want to change it here as well as the email signature fields. So after you've gone here through changing it and updated it, you're going to click save. This is very important to know, because otherwise every document that you're going to be sending out will have the wrong information if you don't have the right information here. If you were to try to change this information here first before notifying us, this information won't stick. So just to give you a heads up. It would be a waste of time to go through all this and you're like, oh, okay, I could just change it here and then contact the board later. No, contact us first, make sure we do our part, and then you can be able to go in here to fix that. Let's see, sign in security. That's my username. Two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication, it's a great idea. If you're going to be doing a lot of work at a coffee shop of some sort. This two-factor authentication requires you to get a code that you could input into your cell phone or an email to verify that it's really you. I would say that if you're going to be doing a lot of it off-site from your home or a secure location like work, then I would say, yes, use the two-factor authentication. But if not, if you're at home, you can pass on this if you wish. If we go into settings, we can take a look at the different e-signatures options we have, electronic signatures options that we have. The first one will be from Digital Ink 2.0. That's free with your Realtor membership. And that's built into zipForms, Digital Ink 2.0. The other one is DocuSign. DocuSign is a paid service. You can sign up for DocuSign by getting it through here or going through, there's a discount website through NAR as well. You can just Google DocuSign for NAR for Realtor members or NAR members, and you'll see that there are discounts. It's roughly $240 a year for the comparable service that you get for free through Digital Ink 2.0. In the next class, we're going to talk about the differences, the similarities, and we'll once again revisit the cost for using DocuSign, and maybe some of the reasons why that somebody would use DocuSign. Okay, and one thing since I'm here, I do want to point out down here where it says transaction preferences, the time interval for transaction autosave. Long ago, when I used to do, when computers were relatively new, word processing was a big thing, Microsoft Word. I would work on a computer and just like anybody else, and sometimes the computer would just misbehave, and then all of a sudden everything I typed in disappeared. It's like, oh, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours down the drain. Oh, how frustrating that is. With this, for some reason, I don't know why, but by default, zipForms has it off. I would say go ahead and turn this on, and I say put it on for 5 minutes or 15 minutes or what, something that allows this software to automatically save everything that you've done. So that way, if you're doing something, going through the process of getting documents together and inputting information into those forms, contracts, disclosures, and then all of a sudden the power goes out or the computer misbehaves, you only will lose out at most the last 5 minutes of information that you type in the computer rather than a full day's worth. So please go into, once again, the settings portion, and then go into here, time interval for transaction autosave. And for me, I would recommend 5 minutes because this will autosave every 5 minutes. And it's a great thing to have. It really is. Okay, so I promised you a transaction. Let's do a transaction. So we go back to transactions. And then there are these tools up here, view the realtor's property resource. We'll talk about that later. Import documents into it, a new transaction, and transaction tools and transaction tools. Oh, it's not behaving, but I'll get to that later. Transaction tools would include clause manager, mortgage calculator, and also Forms Advisor and Forms Tutor. We'll talk about those later. But let's click with a new transaction. And by the way, you won't have any of this information down here. These are other practice ones. Yes, you can practice doing transactions. Practice saying them to yourself so that way you get a deeper understanding how to use zipForms and what it looks like from your perspective as an agent and also the perspective of your client and what they'll see. So it's definitely recommended to be able to practice, practice, practice. So I'm going to click new where it says right over here. Now the first choice I'll be given is, am I having a new listing? Someone's going to sell their home. Am I taking care of a buyer? Is it a new lease listing, or is it just a quick signature that we need on a document? In this practice session, we're going to use new purchase or offer. So this is the transaction information. Now, the name is really up to you. You are going to have these different tiles. You can barely see in the background, but you want it to be able to be something that you can visually see quickly and know, oh, I know what that transaction is for. So you can either use the name would be either the address of the listing or the name of the client or a combination of the name of the client with the address. So in this case, I'm going to use just apparently if I spell fountain correctly. There we go. So Charlene in Fountain Valley. I'm using a fictitious client, and we're looking at a property in Fountain Valley. zipForms Record Connect is a paid service, I believe, Anthony. I believe zipForm Record Connect is a paid service.
Yes.
That's offered by zipForms. Thank you, Anthony. And whereas we can disregard this because we use MLS Connect. MLS Connect, once you have these two linked together, and when you click it, it'll allow you to link it together by able to put in your CRMLS ID and your CRMLS password. You click MLS Connect, and you'll be given the choice of what's the MLS service you're going to be using. In our case, it's CRMLS 1. If you want to take a look what the different ones are available, just one. Different listing types is going to be a property, and then we put the listing ID. So once again, this is a listing that I'm not endorsing. It just happens to be active in MLS. And honestly, it's within walking distance from the Fountain Valley location. So I put in the listing ID. I do want to include the property photo that's already exists in CRMLS. I'm going to click find. So with the power of the internet, it pulls the information of the address of the listing and pulls the image right from CRMLS, and I'm going to use this listing. I'm also going to have to choose one of these from these categories. It is a residential. If you choose something else, it will create an error. Or if you choose nothing, it won't go any further. You click save, it does nothing. This is an active status, pending, prospect, inactive, fell through. You can always update your transaction later, but this is an active transaction. Templates we'll talk about in just a moment, and you can put down comments later if you wish. I'm going to click save. So the first thing that comes up will be the summary. The great thing about CRMLS Connect or MLS Connect, it pulls the information right from MLS and populates it here. And I'll show you more, like some of the benefits of it. Tells you the home subdivision, when it was built, etc. There's a lot of other information there that you can view later, and you can input more information there if you wanted to, which will update it to other things. You'll see you have another opportunity to put in MLS Connect. Record Connect is a paid service. You can start a CMA, you can apply a template, etc. You can email the email information into the transaction if you wanted to, email documents into the transaction. You can have a fax cover sheet, but we'll skip that. I'm going to choose a party. Now, I'm not going to be working with Lily Campbell. This is the listing agent, so I'm going to delete her. My focus on this practice session, and I emphasize practice session, is going to be for my buyer, buyer one. So buyer one, I would normally request that you fill out this information. If it's going to be for a trust fund or some other entity other than just a person, you want to make sure you fill out this information here and then put in the signing representative, who is going to be the individual signing on behalf of this entity. But what I have done to simplify things, instead of importing, I've already created an individual in my address book. So I'm going to choose Charlene client. And I'm using her name, a fictitious name. I'm putting my email address so I can look to see, so I can be able to show you what she'll see from her side later on in the next class. And this is her information. Once you filled out that information, you can save it as a contact and you can click save. Now it goes to the next session. Do I want to add more people, more buyers? No, I'm fine with just Charlene. Charlene's the only buyer. Now I click documents. Now I can either pull a document from my hard drive and add it on, or I can pull a document from Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, or OneDrive. I can do so. I can place a holder, put a placeholder there for later. But let's just go into the online documents that's offered by the California Association of Realtors. So we go all the way over to here and we click all forms. So now it pulls up all the forms within the library of the California Association of Realtors. And you see that there are a lot of them. Yes, my eyes are hurting just scrolling through this. If you need to find a particular form, you can type in the name of it, like say residential. There we go. And you can find it that way. If you happen to know the form name for it, there's usually a 3-letter, 2 letters, or 4 letters. You'd be like RPA. There you go. You can choose it that way. There are also other libraries to choose from. For example, we have one from us, the Orange County Realtors. So if you have, and this is only available to those who are realtors with our association, whether primary or secondary, you'd have access to the Orange County local area disclosure. So you can click that. If you're curious, like how do I update my information with the board? Well, there it is. You can do the member update form. You can do the transfer form. You can add your signatures and sign out. There's also the listing status change form if you wanted to. You can find it that's also within our library. CRMLS also has seller instructions to place into CRMLS coming soon status. That was just updated last October of 2020. And then these are unusual libraries that I want to point out to you. For example, the CAR sample letters. Now, these were created by the paralegal department from the California Association of Realtors to help you with maybe perhaps some unusual situations like, fence repair. This is what you would put together. Normally, instead of having you put together a letter, you can take a look at this letter and send it out to the person who you need to send it to. Instructions when in tenant vacates on termination of tenancy. You can take a look at that. There are quite a bit of choices here to go through, and I encourage you to take a look and spend some time looking at those. One other thing that's also very important is California EPUBs. California EPUBs will give you the hazard disclosures, earthquakes, homeowners guide, etc. You can go through all these if you wish. Take your time going through this, and whatever one you choose, like for example, you choose this one, it's in there. But going back to our California Association of Realtors, Normally I say start off with a cover sheet, and today we'll start off with a residential purchase agreement. There's a lot more that in your real life scenario, you're going to add a lot more forms, but I'm just showing you how to use the software. So if I click on the side of it, you can see that there's all these different things that I've added to it. If there was something that I did not need, like for example, if I want to get rid of this, I can either click this button and I have the option to delete it, or I can click this little square and then that will give me the option to delete it, either one or more. And if I wanted to delete them, I just simply click delete. Pretty simple. Now, typically when we do, and organize. Organize comes in handy for those who are just like, I want to make sure things look nice and organize. If you click this first and you're like, oh, I want it to visually look to be on the side, that'd be fine. Then you click done organizing, and this is how it's going to be set up if you want to do it that way. In our classes that we normally teach, Anthony and myself, we normally would say you'll need a cover sheet so that way you can input all the information. That way everything that you put in here will apply to all the other forms that you put in from that point forward. So for example, this is the address, etc. This is the price, etc. You can put in all the other information on there, everything that's pertinent to this transaction. And then it'll populate over to the form. So in case you're like wondering what part of it will apply, there is the name. There we go. So there's Charlene Client, there's her name there. And if we scroll down a little further, we're going to see some more information regarding the property. Charlene Client. And the reason why these are highlighted, these are fields that would require some kind of action to it. There we go. And there's the address that we're talking about, within walking distance from the Fountain Valley location. And then there's all the other information that you would complete. And this is the reason why you would want to take your time doing this, because ultimately you have to know what this contract's about before you sign it out. And also your client may have questions regarding it. So you just have to make sure you do your fiduciary duty regarding this. So once again, everything that we put in the cover sheet will populate into the residential purchase agreement as well as the other forms. If you look at the Orange County disclosure form, this is the form that we have in our library, and it auto-populated the address, and it did not populate this, so you'll have to populate that on your own. And vicinities, noise, gives you a lot of information about that. When we scroll all the way down, the client was signed there. If there's more than one signer, it would put that information here, sellers, etc. So that, my friends, is how we have created a transaction. So I'm just showing you how we create, this is a very simplified approach, but this is how we create a transaction. Going into transactions. Once again, we click new. And then after doing that, we go through the entire process of adding forms. So any questions about that at all? And if we don't have any questions, that's okay. That's okay. And if you have questions, and you ask yourself later, like, oh, I should have asked that during the class. That's okay. Email us. We'll be able to respond to you. You can call us as well. We can be able to respond. If we don't know the answer, we'll refer you to the right people from either from the California Association of Realtors or also from ZipLogics that can provide you assistance with your particular question or error that you're experiencing with your computer. So this is how we have created a transaction. So the next step will be submitting it out for signatures. Do you see any questions yet from anybody yet, Anthony?
No, I don't.
Excellent.
They're taking it easy on you today, Leo.
No. I have the best people attending this class today. They're just absorbing it. They're just taking it all in. They're like, I got this. This is very simple. This is easy software, easier than the software that my kid uses for his 4th grade math. This is much easier. So yes, there's a 4th grader that lives with me. So
Oh, wait a minute. We do have a question.
Oh, okay.
Can you use any MLS number to create a purchase order? Yeah, I mean, if it's up for sale, then yes, you could use that listing MLS number to create your offer, or use that for a tenant. So the MLS Connect is great to import the MLS listing data onto your contracts if you're either purchasing or leasing out a property to a tenant. So now you can get that MLS data and have it imported on your contracts.
And that's assuming, of course, that the MLS Connect or that MLS listing is in either CRMLS or is in a MLS service that's data sharing with CRMLS. And the exception would be, for example, Greater Antelope Valley Association Realtors in Lancaster, Palmdale. They don't data share with us. Correct, Anthony?
Correct.
So yes, if you got a listing out in Palmdale, Lancaster, you're like, well, that's a little bit different. You have to contact Greater Antelope Valley, and you would have access to their MLS by paying for it and filling out paperwork. But you could use Zip Connect, I believe, pay a little bit more to be able to populate that information into your zip forms. I think. I've never tried it.
Right. Well, where were you trying again? I'm sorry.
If you use let's say a Palmdale listing.
As long as it's part of CRMLS. So you'll have to type in what the actual MLS number is as displayed on our CRMLS system. So if it's in Palmdale or San Diego, if you found it in CRMLS, then you'll have to type that exact number into that box for MLS Connect. Now, not every MLS system has access to MLS Connect, but at least CRMLS members who have access to other MLS databases, if that listing is displayed in our MLS database, then MLS Connect will work just fine for you.
Okay. And if you have any further questions, please reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you.
Definitely.
So we've created the login to zipForms. We have created a transaction. Now let's go ahead and submit it out for signatures. So as you see, you keep seeing this like, oh, it's ESign. ESign is right there. If you go into the form itself, you pull it up, it's like, oh, another ESign. And then you go here as well. And if you click new, it's like, oh, another quick ESign. Yes, I'm showing you that there's different ways of sending out documents. The way I'm going to show you for me is what makes sense to me. Other instructors will teach you different ways, but this is what makes sense to me. And if you have questions, I'm going to show you this way to do the ESign. So I go into documents within the transaction, and I'm going to choose the documents that I need to send out for signatures. I'm not going to send out the cover sheet because the cover sheet has no action that my client is going to fill out. I'm only going to send documents that I need my client to do something, whether it be initials, check boxes, or sign, something to that effect. So I'm going to click these boxes. And of course, here's the big thing. Oops, not this. Don't click these boxes yet. The big thing is I have to make sure my client has a computer or access to a computer, access to an email, and that they're comfortable doing electronic signatures. If they're not comfortable with any one of these, then you just simply fill it out, print it out, and physically hand it to them for their signature. Or have a courier service send over to them for their signature, then they send it back to you. But in this scenario, we're pretending that the client is okay with doing electronic signatures. So I'm going to click, I already clicked ESign. I'm going to click new because this is a new signing session. So I click new. I'm not going to send over a cover sheet. I'm only going to send over the residential purchase agreement, the Orange County disclosure. And then up here on the top right, it says add an external document. Now, sometimes some brokerages will say, okay, agent, every time you send out something to a client for signature, I need this document as well. signed, initial, whatever. So I'm going to pull a document, not from Dropbox or Google, but I'm going to pull it right from my document from the computer. So this is a fictitious one that we put together just to show you how to do it. So this is listing agreement form B. Listing agreement form B. And once again, it's a fictitious document we found and put it together, so it's going to be included. Now I click close, and you're going to see that we have a name of the signing packet, which you can alter if you want to. The signing service, we have it set up for digital ink and not DocuSign, because digital ink is free with your Realtor membership. And then the 3 documents we need for signature. And then after that, you click next. You want to choose your parties. And in this case, it was my single buyer that we already have. That's why it's important to put in the parties first. That way it's already here. Otherwise, you have to go in and start adding it manually. And this cybersecurity is a question that you'll be asked of in case you want to pay an additional fee to have a 2-factor authentication, so that way the client is notified via text message with a special code that they have to input in to be able to sign in to do the signatures. There was a scenario that Anthony had shared with us some time ago, that there was a client who called up his realtor and saying, I'm getting this text message with a security code that it was asking me to put in, but I'm not at home signing documents. Can you look into it? And automatically red flags coming up, just like what's going on, what's going on. As it turns out, the client's son was at home using the computer and trying to do the documents. And that was the one that kind of created the red flags. So it's important that we know, that the person who's signing the documents is the right individual that is going to be at the computer filling this information out. So it's important that you communicate back and forth with your client and make sure that they're near a device where they can be able to do this in. So with that being said, I'm not going to pay for the service. It's a $5 per transaction, I believe. I think it's still $5, or has it changed? But
Nope, it hasn't changed. It's still $5 per transaction.
Okay. And then I click next. And also one thing here, just make sure you're in the right time zone. My clients are going to be in California. The forms I'm sending out is based on California's real estate law. So I click next. But if you need to change it for whatever reason, you can do so. After clicking next, it'll take a little bit of time for it to go through its process. And this will be a commercial break. So if anybody has a question, oh, that's pretty fast because I pay for this internet. If anybody has any questions so far, go ahead and start typing, please. Now, I know sometimes it takes a little bit of time to indicate that you have a question.
And Leah, did you talk about the difference between digital ink and DocuSign?
Just vaguely, that one's a paid service, and that's DocuSign. Digital Ink 2.0 comes free with our zipForms. We're going to go in more in depth with the two in the next class. That's going to be at 12:30, I believe.
1:30.
1:30. Oh, we get out at 12:30. I knew there was a 12:30 somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means? More coffee.
Now, I have a question from George. He asks, can you add more than one reviewer or signer to a transaction or to a contract?
Yes, you can. You definitely can. Most forms are you're able to add. You can put in 2, but you can go further than that. And Anthony, you're more familiar with that than I am.
Mm-hmm.
With 3 and 4 signatures that can be done.
So yes, you can add in as many signers as you need to. Only the forms have space enough for 2 signers, but this is where other forms like the ASA, the additional signature addendum, would be required for you to have signers, say 3, 4, 5, to be able to sign that form in lieu of signing, say, the purchase agreement. So it would be a form that would work in conjunction with with that form at that point. But yes, essentially you could have as many signers as you need, but you'll also need other contracts for the other signers to sign, acknowledging the main contracts that need to be reviewed by them. Does that make sense, George? I know for demo purposes right now, Leo's only selected one signer, but in the next class at 1:30, he'll show multiple signers, even though he'll only take you through with what one signer needs to do. But yeah, you could have more than one person.
Yes. Anyone else with more questions before we go even
And
further with
then
this?
let's see here. And George says, yes, thank you. Thank you, George.
Great. So the next portion now is we do our fiduciary duty, double check everything here. So we want to make sure that all the information is here, and you see the signer is going to be Charlene. If you had more than one signer, you'd have their names here. Drag and drop would be the items that you have to drag and drop over to the document, and I'll show you that in just a moment. If you need to mark up anything, you can mark it up so that way you can if you normally you would be able to mark up something so that way you can be able to show like that's a highlight right there. But you don't want to use the highlighter because, well, because sometimes it will block out information if you have it printed. So I'm going to get rid of that. And there's more. You can zoom in. There's pages 1 of 24, the layouts, etc. But let's just go in and take a look at the drag and drops. There we go. So as you see here, this is going to be the first field for the signature. Now the font is not going to be that. Of course, the font will be chosen by the client. So when they go through the process of signing, this will look different. It'll also have the date will automatically populate after we go through this process. So what you see here will change after it's been signed. Oh, by the way, this was not populated, so we're going to drag and drop, and we're going to check. So drag and drop it right there. Perfect. And then close it up. So you get the idea. If we go all the way down to, let's go to the next form. See, the nice thing is you can go to any page if you wanted to, and I'm going to go to the Orange County disclosure form. There we go. Clicking that will close that up. See the address. Oh, the initials are there. Oh, they were good. They're highlighted. Good. Very good. Excellent. Good. I just want to make sure that they're there. Oh, over 99, well, probably over 95% of the time, you're not going to have to do any action. It's going to be auto populating the initials, check mark, signature fields. You don't have to do that, but it's not 100%. So you just have to do your fiduciary duty and make sure you go over all this information on your own before you send it out to the client. Now, the document that we uploaded, this is the fictitious document that we uploaded. So of course, there is nothing highlighted here at all. Nothing at all. So this is where we have to do a little bit of work. So we go into the drag and drops. First thing I see is a date field. So I'll just drag and drop it right there. This will be the text box that the client will fill out. If it looks horrible, then I got to fix that because I'm kind of a stickler for this kind of stuff. There we go. And drop it a little bit lower. Perfect. And then we keep going. And then if we needed to say, throw in the signature of the individual, throw in the signature. Go ahead and get the signature, put it right there. If we wanted to use this gearbox, which you're like, what is the gearbox for? Let's use the gearbox and we can add a name block. So the name block is all the way up here. So we grab the name block and put it, oh, gosh darn it. I think it's right there. Signature field will go down here. Nice and pretty. Seller's name, move it over. You get the idea. Add a date stamp, no problem. It's showed up there. We can put it right up there. you have the idea. If I needed initials somewhere, another initials, drag and drop, I could drag it and put it wherever I needed to. You know, let's say it belongs right here. I'm just showing you how to use the software. Once you've done all of the changes that you need to do, all the populating all the fields where your client has to do something to it, then you click next. Now you can personalize the email that's going to be sent out to the client, or you can just send the invitation. I like to personalize it, so you can click here and you can send in something to the effect that please contact me before signing. Hello, Charlene. Oops, I have to spell Charlene correct. Otherwise, my client won't want to have me take care of her other transactions in the future. So you know that every 7 years, plus or minus, our clients move. So you want to make sure that you do a great presentation each and every single time. Do not sign any documents before we go over them together. Okay, something to that effect. Whatever your note is going to be, you could write it so that way that your client will know. You communicate one last thing over to your client and they'll be able to see that on their end. And you send the invitation out and that's it. So my internet speed is pretty fast here. So it went over much quicker than maybe your software, I mean, at your speed that you'll have at the office. So it's just a heads up, because sometimes it takes a little bit longer and it takes maybe 15 seconds for it to go in through this process of waiting for it to go out. So yeah, just give you a heads up. So that is how we have sent out document out for signatures. That was a mouthful. Okay. Any questions before we start tackling the beautiful, what we call templates? Templates. Let me get rid of this one because we're going to start off fresh. Templates. And by the way, templates are going to be great. It's going to be a great thing for those who have never used templates. Pause for the cause of just letting you know that the templates, any of this that you're going to be, if you feel like you're falling behind, that's okay. Just enjoy this, and then you can take notes, and then afterwards we're going to send the recording over to you. You can have one half of the screen doing this, watching me talk, and then the other half practicing. So please enjoy this. So moving forward, I guess no questions. I feel no questions. Okay, let's go into templates. So when we click templates, and once again, if we were to hit transactions, we have dashboard, forms, transactions, templates. So we click templates over here. And then there's clauses, which we're going to talk about in the next class, or the last class of the day, but the new. So because we want to create a new template. So what's a template? Over time, what you're going to notice is that you're going to have, let's say you're working with a bunch of renters. And what you're noticing is that you're always going to start with a cover sheet, let's say. And then you have forms that you put together, and it's the same forms over and over again. When you're representing a buyer, it's the same thing, a cover sheet and forms over and over and over again, the same forms. Rather than creating a new transaction and looking at all forms and dragging all the forms over or clicking all the forms, the best way to do it to save a lot of time and energy would be just to have that template put together of all those forms and have it auto-populate in a transaction. So let's show you how to do that. So let's represent someone who's doing an offer again. So for starters, the name of the template. Now, since this is a template that's going to be applied to multiple transactions, let's keep it generic. If you want it to be more specific, your scenario will probably be that you're going to be working with an investor. Like, let's say Anthony is going to be my investor. So I'll be able to typing in Anthony's investment properties or something related to Anthony. But in this scenario, it's just going to be a purchase offer within Orange County. There we go. Purchase offer within Orange County. In this scenario, it's not going to be industrial. It's not going to be a condominium. It's going to be residential. And then there's other choices here. Do I want to automatically apply this template to all new transactions? This would be true if my only transactions are from this point forward are only for buyers. If my role in my company is just to help out buyers and nothing else, maybe that's the correct one for you. Or maybe automatically apply this template to purchase residential new transactions. Because maybe perhaps anytime I choose a purchase residential transaction, this will automatically put it on there. But I prefer to not automatically apply this template. You would have the controls. You can add it on at any time with a click of a button. It's very simple. So I'm going to click do not automatically apply this template to new transactions and click save. So once again, the name, the category, and auto apply. Do not. There we go. So once we're in, the documents tab has been highlighted, but there's nothing here. So we go into all forms. So we look at the library, the California Association of Realtors. We start off with perhaps a cover sheet. Perhaps we'll start off with a residential purchase agreement. Oh, I don't know, agent visual inspection disclosure. There's a number of different forms that you would need. Just throwing it out there. Oh, carbon monoxide detector. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. So you would put together all the forms that you would need. Might as well throw in the Orange County disclosure since we're being specific about Orange County. There we go. And that's pretty much it. So let's just say that these are the forms. Any of your scenario is going to be more probably. You can always put more if you wanted to. And after you're done, you can click. We're going to try a transaction in just a moment. One thing I do want to point out, and I was just playing with this for the first time, was with your templates, you can have a checklist as well. So let's say we have a new checklist. A new checklist, like let's say we do pre-inspection. Let's call it pre-inspection. There we go. Pre-inspection. And see the created task. So we'll create a task. And honestly, this is something I'm creating on the fly. The first task name is survey the property. Survey the property category. You could put a category here. You could do it as none due date, a fixed due date has to be done by that particular day, or a relative one. So in other words, it could be a day after the listing, a day after the offer date, etc. You know, there's different choices to choose from. So I'm choosing offer date because we're just practicing. Responsible party, we'll say it's the listing agent. We're just practicing, and you could put a note here on the property. Whatever. And you can keep on going on. You can put on more if you wanted to, but for simplicity's sake, I'm just doing just that one. After that, let's go ahead and go back into transactions. Okay, we're going to start a new transaction, the same exact one. New purchase offer. We're going to do walking distance to Fountain Valley office. Residential, same listing, listing ID. Yeah, I'm going pretty fast because, well, this for some of you are just like, we just did this. Like, yes, I know. I'm just showing you. Include the photo. I always like including the photo. Just visually, it's just easier for me to like go, oh yeah, I remember that house. Yes. Because when you're working with a client, you might be seeing dozens and dozens of houses, and then finally they choose, oh, I want that one. You want to make sure that you got the right one. You can always add an image instead of having one provided from CRMLS. Here is the opportunity to include the template. So I click my template, and there it is. Personal purchase offer within Orange County. Click save. And with the power of the internet, it has populated the information there, but even better, if you look at documents, all the documents are there that we put in there, and that one little checklist. There we go. Survey the property. So that way you can put in you would know your business better than I would of what tasks that need to be done during a certain step during the doing a transaction. So you may want to discuss it with your broker to see what steps are necessary. And then you should be adding on to a checklist if you use a checklist portion of it at all. So once again, here's all the forms. You see it all there. And if you feel like, you know what, in this particular transaction, I don't need this, no problem. Just go ahead and delete it. Deleting this form from this transaction will not affect the template at all. So don't worry about that. You can still use the same template for multiple offers in the future. And maybe perhaps a carbon monoxide detector does require it. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. I don't work at legal. So that's it. That's how we use a template. Any questions with anything?
Yeah, Leo, do templates automatically update with brand new forms if a form gets updated?
Oh, that's a really great question, because I believe next week we're going to be expecting a new residential purchase agreement contract to be updated. So that is a very, very great question, a very applicable question. The contracts disclosures that are already in your templates will automatically be updated. These will automatically be updated if it's within a template. Those contracts and disclosures that are already in a transaction, they won't be updated. So you have to replace it when the new one comes out.
Not necessarily.
Uh-oh.
The form is already signed.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Whatever
Sorry.
the current terms are. But if you're making a brand new transaction, then yes, you're going to need the new forms or updated forms. But any pre-existing transaction that you started prior to the forms updates, you don't need to worry about redoing brand new contracts. Because they agreed to the terms of what was already there currently. Does that make sense?
So for example, with Charlene and Fountain Valley, this version of it under ESign, those forms cannot be changed because they agree to the terms and conditions. So correct. Those will not be updated. Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't show you ESign. Within the transaction, you're like, where's my signatures? Where are my documents? Well, they're not in documents. They're now in the ESign section right over there. It's a packet. We're moving quite fastly. Wow. I have to give credit to the internet and all of you. Any other questions that you may have?
So far, I see a lot of thumbs up.
Wow. I give you all a thumbs up, which is a thank you. This makes the process much simpler. But if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. 11 transactions have been deleted from our system because the retention period has ended. Oh, this is just an FYI. Transactions are available to export for 30 days after being deleted. To export these transactions, please click here. You can also visit our support. So one thing that we didn't talk about would be that within zipForms, this will store the documents for up to 7 years. I'm going to delete. I'm going to click that and get it out of there. Sometimes you'll see ads. Yes, you see ads. It's an ad-supported software as well. So it's a decision made by Lone Wolf. And so just letting you know about that. There are other things that you can also lean on for support when you're doing transactions. You can, after clicking shop, there's a number of different things you can consider getting to be added. There's different libraries to choose from. For example, if you're working with commercial clients, you may want to consider getting the AIR, the AIR commercial forms. That's $199. If you're working in different states, some of them will appear here as well. And San Francisco has their own library. So in case you're wondering, like, what's in shop? What can I get in shop? Well, forms, no t-shirts, hats, or nothing like that. If you have any questions regarding how to use zipForms, there's a help feature right there. The Learning Center, the in-app guide, and send us feedback. That's for ZipLogics. Also in the bottom right corner where it says guided help, you click that and you can start the process, start typing up information as to what you may have trouble, and they'll help you with that. I know that CAR also provides a lot of assistance regarding it. We also have a page on zipForms. So I'll show you that in just a moment, but let me show you just a couple more tools. So one thing I saw in a CAR webinar, because CAR also teaches this class, is when you log in as zipForms, your pop-up blocker has to be disabled because this automatically opens up a separate window. But then it opens up a screen that fills up the my entire monitor. So I'm like, okay, well, I want it to behave like the other tabs on my my browser. So I click show as a tab. There we go. And I can be able to drag and drop it and put it right into there, supposedly. There we go. Just like any other tab. I'm using Chrome. The software's compatible with most of the major browsers out there, Edge, Chrome, Safari. Sometimes we might encounter a problem that's unique to a browser. That's when you want to reach out to either the California Association of Realtors or the zipForms for support. Anthony, I believe you use Chrome on a regular basis for teaching zipForms, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So going back, we're going to talk about transaction tools. It happens to be here. Let's go and pick on it. Pick on it. Yes, I said pick on it. It's not working. Okay.
Oh, Leo?
Yes.
John asks, how did you do that? Show as a tab?
Oh, when I had it all alone, I right-clicked it. I should have said, click the right click on your mouse, right-click it. That's assuming that you're using a mouse that's similar to what I use. I think, I don't know what you would use on an Apple computer because I don't have an Apple computer. But with Windows, it's a right-click, and then it would be, well, it said reopen, close tab. No, it'd be like a tab or some sort.
Are you talking about bookmarking the website?
No, it went from when you go into zipForms and it opens up that one page that fills up the entire screen, it dominates the whole screen. You're like, well, it doesn't behave like my other tabs do. There was a choice to be able to change it and make as a tab, I think it said. I think I hear one of your voices screaming out to my head, make as a tab, and then you do the so. And then once it is a tab, then you can drag it like the other tabs that you do in Windows or the other browsers. That's how I did it.
Right.
Oh, by the way, if you hit refresh, let me show you what happens. And error message. Yep. So don't be surprised when you see that. Happens to me. So, and then it also times you out sometimes. So it's not something that'll stay on for a very long time.
And then George asks real quick, is zipForms mobile friendly? The answer to that question, George, is yes, it is. It's actually called zipForms Mobile. So if you log into CAR's account on your mobile tablet device, it's going to open up zipForms to make it look exactly like this. It's just the mobile edition. Excuse me. And no, it's not just PC friendly. I'm using it on my Mac. I know a lot of Mac people. I also use it on my iPad. So it is browser and computer friendly.
Yes. Once again, going to that tab, I right click it at the top and show as a tab, show as tab. So if I want to do so, I can go to click it. Now it's a tab. Click this button like we're familiar with in computers, computer websites, drag that tab over and there it is. It's a tab. It's a cute little thing that I learned. Now, since we're reopen zipForms, I click transaction tools and there's different tools I can choose from. Clause manager will be, and we'll discuss it even further in the last class of the day. It talks about, it behaves very similar to templates, but you would have clauses that if you use on a regular basis or on a rare basis, you could put all the clauses together and you could pull upon those clauses to populate in the situation that you're in. Like let's say for probates, short sales, etc. Lookup field manager. I've never used it. Anthony, have you ever used the lookup field manager?
Yes, I did once. Or what it does is it allows you to manage your fields on your forms. So as you fill in forms, certain things will come up like multiple cities under the city field, multiple names under a client's name, things like that. And what this does is it allows you to clear out those fields or lock in choices so that they will never ever change. So periodically you may want to go through this and clear out things like the city field or an address field or even your buyers or sellers or tenants and landlord data just to keep things clean. And that's just my personal preference.
Okay. Thank you. I've never used it. There's some things, there's so many different tools to use within zipForm. Some of it you may not ever use. Mortgage calculator comes in handy. Mortgage calculator helps you with when you're working with a client and they're still maybe not sure about what they can and cannot afford. A mortgage calculator here, and very similar to the ones you would find online, might help your client get a better idea of what they can and cannot afford. So let's say the cost of a home that they're looking at is $800,000. Okay, so the interest rate is not 2.5. Let's say it is 2.5. Okay, it's 2.5. It's going to be over the course of 360 months. Okay, so that's 30 years. So their monthly payment, without filling out everything else, will be $3,160.97. You're like, oh, okay, that's kind of normal. And then if you click the display table, and you could print it out if you wanted to, but you can see how in the beginning there we go, that it starts off with that most of the payment goes toward interest. So yeah, most of the payment goes toward interest, and then that decreases over time. If we go all the way down to the bottom, you will see that by the last payment, it's $6.57 that goes toward interest. The rest of it goes toward principal. That person who has asked for an $800,000 loan has paid $337.94. Excuse me, $337,947.67 in interest. So let's just say 340. So, but let's go, here's the big but. Let's say they don't qualify for a 2.5 interest rate. Let's say they qualify for a 3.8 interest rate. Okay, So now their monthly payment is $3,727.66. They probably say, well, maybe we can get by and making those payments. Well, let's take a look. Same number of months. And let's look at the display table. So that loan, which was $300 and some thousand in interest, is now $541,956.59. So you can see that perhaps the client may not be able to afford the higher payment, $3,700. So they may be looking at perhaps a different price range, or on the opposite side of the coin, they're very comfortable with this price point and perhaps maybe looking, they can go a little bit higher than 800,000. So it's just something that you can use to be able to share with your client to help them understand the market. And perhaps if you need to, you can lean on individuals in the mortgage field to build, mortgage field to be able to help you. So just, it's a tool you can use. Forms Advisor, Forms Tutor are here. So in case you have to say it's Forms Advisor is a questionnaire. So based on the questions that you have regarding a certain transaction, you would say, go into Forms Advisor. It's actually found on the CAR website. You would create a new one, enter it as a new purchase in Fountain Valley. And you would go through all these questions. And once you answer all these questions, it'll suggest what forms to use in a given situation. So this is an example of Forms Advisor. Forms Tutor helps educate you how to complete certain forms, roughly about 40 of them. So unfortunately, it doesn't touch all 300 and some forms. It will only touch roughly about 40. And when you go into, yes, this is a CR benefit. You have to log in for it. And if you choose a form, I've never seen a bill of sale. I'm curious, bill of sale. So when you see blue dots, you click the blue dot and it'll give you information about that particular section. Why, in this case, is why do we need this? And if you want to play it, it'll be able to play the sound.
BOS, bill of sale.
So that's someone reading out the purpose of using this particular form.
Hey, Leo.
Yes.
When you get a second, can you go over that lookup field manager again?
Sure, I would love to. And going into zipForms again, because it looks like, oh, there it is. Transaction tools, lookup field, okay? Here I am. What would you like to take a look at?
Look for the city field.
City field, okay. City, here we go.
And now we have access to all the cities that Leo has ever typed in on any and all of his forms. And now what he can do is clear out that field. And now when he goes to write up a form, he's not getting a list of multiple different cities.
There we go. I keep on going on. Clear the field. A lot of phone numbers. Then click save. Oh, nice little tool. Okay, so we got some time. I want to teach you. Let's go take a look. Is this the transaction I want to take a look at? I have it in my head. I don't want to say it yet. Don't want to say it yet until I see it. Let's go into, nope. Let's go into Sierra Library. I think it's a great opportunity to show about agent visual inspection, and we could populate photos.
Now, why would you ever need to populate photos on a form, Leo?
You know, sometimes a photo is worth 1,000 words, maybe 1,000,000 words. But in this case, let's just show you. So let's say it's raining outside, and normally you have gutters around the house. The gutters, not gutters. Anthony, what's the right word?
Rain gutters?
Rain gutters, thank you. Rain gutters. Rain gutter does not drain. Does not drain. Okay. For most people, like, what? I'll explain in just a moment. And let's go with bath. Bath 1. And toilet not usable. And you're saying, what? Maybe I misspelled usable. I apologize. I apologize to my English teacher from high school. I thought I did well, but I didn't do so well. So once again, I have to be in the right page. So I'm scrolling down to this page to make sure I'm on the right page. And I'm going to do something called adding a photo. This button here on the far right where it says more, I click photos and I want to attach. Now I have to click, I have to go look for my photos. And there we go. Rain gutter wrong, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Photo 1, I drag it and I put it right there because it's going to be about the entry area. This is the toilet. Go and click more. Let's click photos, attach, and then click. There we go. Half bath wrong. Okay, so then you're saying, okay, I did this fun stuff. Let me drag it over to the right spot. Otherwise it won't make sense. Then I go, okay, so what does this mean? Okay, well, let's go to preview. Click preview over here. Okay, so I'm an agent visual inspection. You're going to be using this form more than likely to be able to walk the property, make sure everything's okay. You see the rain gutter does not drain, photo 1. Okay, and toilet not usable. Why is that? Well, good question. I'm glad you asked that question. So we're scrolling all the way down. Oh wait, let's go. Come on. There we go. Whoa, photo 1's missing. Ah, curses the software. Okay, let's look at photo 2. This is the reason why there's something wrong with the toilet. If this happens to you with the black screen there, delete it and put it back on. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. But you can see how this looks like something wrong with the toilet. It's just not usable. This is the reason why it's not usable. So yeah, there was somebody did an install of some sort, and yeah, very clever.
So
if you,
the idea behind the photo is, or adding photos to a contract is what, Leo?
is to further explain what the observation is without putting down descriptive words that may get you in trouble. Here's an example. Let's get rid of this area. Let's get rid of that and delete. So another example would be stain near window. Stain near window. And then we add a photo. We don't want to be too specific about some of the description words because we honestly don't know if, I'll explain what the stain is. Drag the photo over, there it is. And then we go to preview. And we see that there's some kind of stain here. Now, to me, that looks like a water stain. It looks like water leaked in through here and stained the wood. How do I know? I don't know if it's a water stain. It could be a chemical stain. It could be a number of different things. I don't know. That's the reason why I'm not saying it's a water stain.
Right,
So
because you're not what, the water expert, right?
I'm not the wood expert either. I mean, maybe a woods restoration specialist could be able to tell you, oh, that's a blah, blah, blah problem. I'm not that person. So, but to me, just the layman, I'm like, yeah, it looks like the water came in through here, like there. But I don't want to say that to get me in trouble. That's the reason why I put stain near window. Just keep it very simple. So that way, any observations you make can be documented and communicated out to all parties that are applicable in this transaction.
And real quickly, Ning Yen asks, I only see Orange County listed in my field. Can I write up properties in LA County? The answer is yes, Ning Yang. You don't need to worry about the lookup field, honestly. Just leave it alone. Just when you're writing up the contract, you can write it in whatever county as long as it's in the state of California. You're a licensed California real estate agent. You can write up an offer for any and all properties anywhere in the state of California, in all the counties. It's just, as you're writing up multiple offers or writing up multiple listings, these fields are going to start having all the cities and record all the cities and all the counties that you're writing offers in. So it's just a way of clearing out those fields periodically for yourself. Does that help?
Yeah, so for example, if we're in transactions, you click a new transaction and you're looking at putting an offer in a place in Mammoth condo, and we say condominium, I can't talk, and click save. And then now we have to put in, if we skip the MLS number, we can put in the address. And it's in the city of Mammoth, for example, California. And you go on, you put in the zip code, the county, etc., and you fill out all the information on this screen, anything that's pertinent to it, etc. See, there's a lot of information you'd fill out if it applies to you. So that's how you would do a listing, for example, that's not, put an offer on a listing that's not within MLS. That's it.
Sounds awesome. But back to the photos field or the photos feature, what this allows you to do is to be able to disclose what it is that you're observing on a property on the, say, Avid, without writing descriptor words that would increase your liability. So you can't say it's a water stain, grass stain, blood stain on the carpet without knowing or being the stain expert, right? So the only thing you can say as a real estate agent is it's a stain. Just like you can't say it's a, just like the crack in the wall. You can't say it's a big crack, small crack, medium-sized crack. It's a crack because you're not the crack expert. So with the ability to take a photo with your cell phone device, then you can now take the pictures off your cell phone or your mobile device, put it on your computer, and now attach them as part of the contracts. And Leo, are you just limited to adding photos to just the Avid, the agent visual inspection disclosure?
No, there are lots of different forms that you can be able to use to apply to this. I'm trying to think of another one offhand that escapes me.
The repair request.
Thank you. I was
is one of them.
I know it's RR.
The RR. Great. You'd have the inspectors take photos during the inspection. They put it in their inspection report. We'll ask your inspector to email you a copy of those photos. So that way, when you're making references to what line items your client wants repaired, you can now attach those photos to that contract. Another great form that this feature is also great for is the MIMO, the move in, move out. So MIMO. So the move in, move out form. You take pictures of the conditions of the properties when the tenant moves in. Then when they go to move out, you take brand new pictures and attach them to the MIMO. So now you got a before and after of the property. So those are just some examples.
And honestly, the great thing about it is that it's documented, it's within this transaction, and you can refer to it, whether it be during this transaction process, after the transaction, or years down the road, in case you're challenged by your former client that you didn't properly communicate this out to your client. you have this information readily available to take a look at. And it stores this information for up to 7 years. And you have the ability to, within that 7-year period, to save it to another hard drive if you wanted to. That's just a heads up on that.
Yeah, I hope you guys like that.
Wow, dang it, look at us, 12:04. We're great talkers. Yeah, I can go on, but I think that, by starting off with logging into zipForms, showing you the process of logging into zipForms, creating a transaction, submitting it out for signatures, and creating and using templates and using the additional tools. I think I gave you the basic tools to get started learning how to use zipForms. For more information, and this is the way I learned, with the exception of calling Anthony on the regular basis at the very beginning, is going to our website, ocrealtors.org, look under education, and then look for the video library. And then within the video library itself will be various choices, but the one you want to stare at would be this one, zipForms. See the playlist. And you'll see some of the videos that we recorded in the past teaching you how to use zipForms and other topics that are within zipForms that can be able to assist you. So hopefully this will help you understand zipForms. You can also look on YouTube. There's various organizations, including the California Association of Realtors, that has created their own line of zip tips. So, and these are short little videos that will help you, but I would say look at us first, because we would be able to get you started, get you started with an online class that we taught previously. And then if you want to look at zip tips, there's an example of one using Digital Ink 2.0. And of course, that comes with commercials. No commercials. Okay, so, and also we'll be teaching classes from time to time regarding zipForms. So do watch out for that. Because by the way, this class you took, you can take it again and again and again and again. It's a free class for our realtor members, so please take advantage of it. Go to our calendar, look in our calendar and take a look there. I was taught this not long ago. Go into my account, go into events, don't click anything, float your mouse over it and look at upcoming classes. And you can just type in zip and then hit search. And this will give you classes with zipForms in it or anything with a zip in it. One-on-one time with Anthony. That's it. And there's, of course, a lot more to choose from. Any questions? Our next class is going to be February 10th. Okay. And what day of the week is February 10th? That is going to be.
You're in January there.
It's going to be a Thursday. Okay, good. Thursdays. I like Thursday classes. All right. Are there any other questions that anybody else has with us today?
Karen says, very cool, very helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Well, I don't think there are any questions here, Leo. It looks like everybody's pretty cool. So if you guys have any other questions or future questions, or you would like some one-on-one training, please feel free to reach out to us. Leo, what's your email address?
Let me give you I'll just bring up that one slide that from the very beginning. From the current slide.
So you can reach Leo at what, Leo?
You can reach me at, let me just get this screen correct. Come on. There we go. You can reach me at leo@ocrealtors.org. Once again, it's leo@ocrealtors.org. My phone number is 714, area code 375-9313, and my extension number is 239. I typically work Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5:30. That may change from time to time because of the needs of our office and our members.
Awesome. And then you can also reach out to me as well. My email address is Tony, Tony at ocrealtors.org. Or you can feel free to give us a call at the board at 949-586-6800. My extension is 104. Leo's extension is 239. And with that said, I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. Have fun. And hopefully we'll get to see you today at 1:30, going over more in depth of how to digitally sign contracts using either DocuSign or digital ink.
All right. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.